Hello, David R. Becker here with Becker Art. Today I'm going to talk to you about hot press and cold press and the differences between both of them. So you'll learn in this video today about what you can do on hot press and what you can do on cold press that you can't do on hot press. So it's two different kind of papers, and so the one hot press is a very smooth paper and the cold press is a rougher paper. Now there's another paper that they make is called rough. Rough, it's not even press, it's just rough. And so that I don't have. I'm not going to talk about that because rough is just rougher than a cold press, because cold press has texture, hot press doesn't. All right, let me just show you some of the difference. And one of the biggest difference I find is that it's easier to get soft edges on cold press paper, which is, again, hot press is actually, they press it hot, and so it becomes very smooth with no texture whatsoever on it. A hot press becomes they don't press it hot basically, and so what we're going to do here is we are going to put a flat, so let me go with blue here. Just take a blue color, and if you take and do a fast brushwork across cold press, watch, you'll see that it becomes rough. Right, there's a rough texture in there. You just see there's a rough texture, and if I did that on, you can see the real light texture to it. Hot press, basically, if I put a wash of this and go across it quickly, it just is going to be smooth, right? Because there is no texture to make it hit the top of the paper. All right, so that's one of them. Basically, when you're using hot press, though, the nice thing about hot press is it doesn't float into the paper as much as a cold press. Cold press, if you wet it like this, watch, if you wet a lot, it'll the surface of the paper, since it kind of absorbs a little bit better. And so when you put a thicker amount of pigment in a wet wash, look what happens. It just smooths itself out nice and easily, and it just gives you a little bit of a texture. And so some of the granulation goes within the paper and sits in the bottom of the grooves of basically the cold press paper. Well, hot press, when you do that, when you wet the paper, of course you're always going to get hard edges when you wet the paper. Even if you have like clear water and you just kind of go out there, it's just going to give you a lot more harder edges because it is not absorbing in as much. And though once it's wet, you can then also do the same thing like you do with cold press, is that you can apply the paint into the wash, and then because it's not soaking in as much of the paint, it will be more vibrant in color. The color ends up being a little bit more vibrant with hot press than cold press, because again, cold press absorbs into the paper. Hot press, a lot of times, depending on, like if you're using a hot press, it's really finely finished where it's really smooth. Sometimes it all sits on top, and then you get the real brightness of the pigments. So see how much brighter that blue and top here, where here it absorbs into the paper a little bit more. So basically that's it. And a lot of times when you're doing things on hot press, they again are a lot more hard edges because it is hot press. Its surface is shiny and smooth, or cold press it's not shiny and smooth. And when you do the same thing, you can see a little bit of the texture in there. And actually, if I go across quickly, you'll see texture. Here you won't see texture, though there's really fine texture right there, right? And so it's just smoothness to roughness. And then there's even a paper called rough, which I'm not putting into this, but just to let you know. So basically, hot press and cold press. I personally like the look of hot press, and there's a lot of artists that just use hot press, and because the amount of pigment that they can show being very bright compared to the cold press, which absorbs a lot of the paint and then doesn't give you the brightness of each little pigment in the paint. So basically, cold press again is rough. Hot press is smooth, and try them both out and see which one you like better. And let me know which one you like better. Thanks. Bye-bye.